Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hello, Norway. I'm Linda McCormick, Tenon Tours Product Manager for Northern Europe. We are really excited to now offer customized trips to Norway, and today's presentation will highlight some of Norway's regions from north to south and what Tenon Tours guests can look forward to on their trip to Norway. This is our third in our Nordic webinar series. If you missed our presentations about Finland and Denmark, they've been recorded and can be viewed on our website. And be sure to mark your calendars for next Thursday, August 25th, when we'll present Sweden. So just a few things before we get started. We do have a winner for the drawing for $500 off a trip to Denmark, which you could enter from our Meet Denmark webinar last week. The winner is Rochelle from the Philadelphia area. Congratulations, Rochelle. And at the end of our presentation today, there'll be an opportunity to enter to win $500 off a trip to Norway. And there are some other chances to win too. We'll have trivia questions throughout the presentation, so you want to pay attention. The first person to answer correctly will win Tenon Tours merchandise. Finally, if you have any questions, just submit them in the comment box and we'll answer them at the end. I'd like to welcome David Di Gregorio from Visit Norway North America, who is joining me today. Hi, David. Thanks for being here.
Hi, Linda. Thanks so much for having me. This is great. We're really excited.
Awesome. Well, we're really happy to have you here and to talk about Norway and how spectacular it is. So it's a vast, long country with diverse landscapes.
Very tall, yes.
Video. And there's 47 national parks, which is amazing. And the Norwegians love to get outdoors, and regardless of the season, right? It's easy for them to get out and enjoy the weather and the mountains and everywhere. Let's take a look at a map of Norway just to get our bearings. And tell us about, when they get out there and do their nature walks and hiking.
Yeah, well, I think, understanding why Norway is such a great tourist destination comes along with understanding why Norway is such a great place to live and to be Norwegian. And I think at the sort of root of that is the Norwegian right to roam. And right to roam has been a critical part of Norwegian culture and law since 1957. And it basically says that Norway is there for everyone, Norwegians and visitors alike. Norway's lands, Norway's ponds, forests, any open areas, regardless of if they're public or privately owned, can be used and enjoyed by anyone at any time. And that's pretty radical for Americans, where here property rights are sort of paramount to anything else. But in Norway, as long as you follow simple rules, like you have to keep a certain distance away from any inhabited houses, of course. But if you follow those rules, you can be out and you can enjoy everything that Norway has to offer. You could forage, you could even camp for up to 2 nights anywhere in the country. So the country is there for everyone, both Norwegians and visitors alike. And I think that sort of sets the stage for how Norwegians live and how they believe in the country and how you'll get to enjoy it as a visitor.
That's really fantastic. I mean, the lifestyle is centered on nature and they can get out and enjoy it. And that visitors are also entitled to those same rights. That's great. Yeah, so tell us some other facts about Norway.
Okay, so I've prepared a few fun facts about Norway for you guys. Obviously, Norway is the land of the fjords. Probably the most famous thing to see and that people associate with Norway is fjords. Norway is actually home to over 1,700 separate fjords. So that's a lot of fjords, I think, more than anywhere else, including the biggest fjord, what we call the king of the fjords, the Sogne Fjord, which I'm sure we'll get into more a bit later. Another fun fact is that although Norway is a major producer of oil and energy, Norway doesn't use that energy itself. It's exported. And actually 98% of Norway's power, the power that's actually being used by Norway and Norwegians, is sustainable hydroelectric, 98%. So it's an incredible sustainability. And I know we'll talk about that later a bit, is incredibly important to Norway. And you'll see that as a Norwegian, but also as a visitor. Another fun fact, Norway has the longest tunnel in the world, the Lærdal Tunnel, which is not far from Flåm, which is a major tourist center. That tunnel is over 15 miles long, and it is a real treat to drive through. I've driven through it many times. It's so long that they have to put these like colorful light installations throughout it, so that as a driver, it's not too monotonous. It kind of breaks it up. So you come out into these big caverns and everything is blue or everything is purple, and it's pretty cool. All right, another fun fact: the Nobel Peace Prize is decided by a committee in Norway. It is awarded at Oslo City Hall each December, and that's not all the Nobel Prizes. The Nobel Prizes, or the rest of the Nobel Prizes, the non-peace prizes, are given in Stockholm. But it was a wish of Alfred Nobel that the Peace Prize specifically be given in Oslo. So there's a bit of a separation, and that's why both Oslo and Stockholm have Nobel Prize museums in the center of the city. Otherwise, Norway was the inventor of the cheese slicer. Norwegians love their cheese, and also the paperclip. And one of my favorite facts, Norway actually introduced salmon to Japan for use in sushi. So before Norwegians brought salmon to Japan, sushi was not ever made with salmon. So I love that, because you associate salmon with sushi so well, but it's actually from a Norwegian origin. And of course, Norway is the birthplace of skiing. Anyone who's watched the Olympics can tell that. Norway really dominates when it comes to anything on skis.
Right, they do, and they're excellent skiers. So it's the birthplace of skiing. Excellent. And there's lots of places to ski too if you want to go and do your thing over there.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to planning a trip to Norway with Tenon Tours, you'll work with our travel specialist to create a customized itinerary just for you. So everything will be considered, including the length of your trip, the types of activities and sightseeing you're interested in. So if it's skiing or food or something else, we can incorporate that into your itinerary. Art, cuisine, and of course, we'll take your budget into consideration as well. So we have a lot to cover today. Let's get started. The very top of Norway with Svalbard, which is an island archipelago, only 650 miles from the North Pole. So it's not part of the Norwegian mainland. It's an island archipelago way north. And here's a map showing the distance or the proximity of Svalbard from the mainland Norway. And even though it's really remote, it's not difficult to get to because there are frequent flights from the mainland. And it's really a fascinating destination. And David, I know you've been there. Tell us what types of things guests can enjoy there.
Yeah, I love the map. It's not to scale, just so everyone knows. The distance and size of Svalbard are not exactly that. But from Oslo, which if you're looking at that map is sort of in the bottom right of Norway, to Longyearbyen and Svalbard, is about a 3-hour flight. But this is the northernmost populated place in the world. Like Linda said, just over 600 miles from the North Pole. And it's just remarkable that someplace that's so remote is so accessible. I mean, you get on a flight in Oslo and in 3 hours you're landing in Longyearbyen. And if you haven't done it, I mean, even the arrival itself is an experience. I mean, this feels as developed as Svalbard is, and as many great tourism products that exist there, it still is an exciting thing to land there on its own. And people are taking pictures with the signs showing what latitude they're at. I mean, for most people, this is the highest latitude they'll ever experience in the world. I mean, you can't get much higher. So it is a very, very unique destination that even most people who think of Norway, like you showed the map of Norway before, and Svalbard is so far away and remote that it's not even on that map. So you really need to know that this is a separate destination. It's part of Norway, but it's also sort of has its own rules around it. But it is definitely a frontier destination. As far as what you can see and do there, and this will be a theme throughout most of my comments, it's very seasonal. So it's two different destinations. In the summer, it's one thing, and it's in the winter, it's another. And that's largely because of the temperature, but also the amount of sun that you'll get. So in the winter time, in the winter months, Svalbard will be completely dark, like middle of the night dark for just about 4 months. So obviously a great place to see the Northern Lights. But in the summer months, which I've been in only in the summer, actually, it will be completely light, 24 hours a day for almost 4 months. And I don't even mean like getting a little dusky. Like you'll see the sun up in the middle of the sky and it just sort of goes around in a very small circle. 2 p.m. looks the same as 2 a.m. So with that comes these incredible opportunities to have a very full day of things that you're doing, whether you're going to see the sled dogs. Obviously, there's not enough snow to go out on the snow with the sled dogs in the summer, but you could still take them out. They have wheelie carts that they go on, which is a lot of fun. You could go see lots of different wildlife in the summertime. You could go see, yep, there we go. We could see walrus safari, which is something that I've been lucky enough to do. Svalbard actually is home to more polar bears than people, over 2,000. There's only about 2,000 people, so there are more polar bears. But it is, just so people know, it is not easy to see a polar bear if you're just going to a land-based trip in Svalbard. The easiest way to see them is to get out on a ship and go around the islands a bit. If you see them on land, be concerned, because obviously they're a major threat. And actually, so much so that if you leave the town of Longyearbyen, the capital of Svalbard, you have to have a firearm with you by law, because it is dangerous otherwise. So there are a lot of restrictions around the bears, but you'll typically only see them if you're on a ship. But yeah, there's no shortage of things. One of the experiences that I haven't gotten to do yet, but I'm very excited about, is the new electric powered snowmobiles that they're using up in Svalbard. So if you've ever gone snowmobiling, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of adrenaline. You get to experience, going really fast, but it is incredibly loud. And with an electric snowmobile, that disappears. So it's just,
Wow.
speeding over the snow in silence. And I think that theme will come back in a few other times as we get into the fjords, because we have a lot of sort of sustainable experiences in Norway that, because they're sustainable, they're also kind of inherently better.
Right. Well, and you're not scaring any wildlife away, and you can enjoy the silence, which is really incredible up there too. And one other really remarkable thing about Svalbard is that it's the location of the Global Seed Vault. And this is an underground facility to store seed duplicates from nations around the world that ensures the world's future food supply. And right now, there are over 1,165,000 seed samples in storage there. And new seeds are arriving every day from all over the world. Maybe not every day, but frequently. And they're stored here because of the permafrost and natural temperatures that preserve the seeds. So, if it's something that you're interested in, you're not allowed to visit it, but you can check out the website for details. It's just really an interesting and very remarkable feature, and something that Norway is contributing to the world sustainability. And
you can't visit it, but you can go outside it.
Yes.
You could actually just walk there or take a taxi from Longyearbyen. It's sort of in the hill overlooking the town. So you can get this view, and you can walk on that small bridge, but you can't go inside unless you have business there.
Right. But you've been in it or not?
Oh, no, I've been on that little bridge you could see there, but not any closer than that. Yeah.
They probably have to keep it very pristine. So
yes.
Well, we also, I want to mention here, we have a greeting from Visit Svalbard, and some special words from up there.
Hi, I'm Håkon from Visit Svalbard, and we look forward to welcoming Tenon Tours guests here in Svalbard. Right here in between the mainland of Norway and the North Pole, we have activities waiting for you all year round, and with unique wildlife such as Svalbard reindeer, Arctic foxes and polar bears. But do note that polar bear safaris are not allowed here in Svalbard. Visit Svalbard safely and stay with your local professional guide whenever you leave the settlements.
That sums it up. That's very important. Stay safe. So from Svalbard, let's take a flight back to the mainland. Now, if we just fly to the northern part of Norway, it's only about an hour and a half. So from Longyearbyen, we'll fly into northern Norway. And you can see that the map of northern Norway shows a large area way above the Arctic Circle. And two very popular highlights of North Norway are the midnight sun and northern lights, just like in Svalbard. If you can't make it to Svalbard, you can stay on the mainland and take advantage of these two very interesting phenomena from that perspective. We have a little video here for inspiration when it comes to northern lights. Aren't they stunning? What a highlight for visitors. But it's not guaranteed. It's a natural phenomenon. So if there's clouds, it's not going to work, but they are fairly frequent. And so, this part of Norway offers a lot in the winter and the summer. Something about winter is extra magical. But this part of Norway has a lot of things to do as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And the same thing I said before about seasonality, it's two different destinations. If you go to northern Norway in the summer, you have to go back in the winter and you'll have a completely different set of experiences. In the winter, you have the snow and ice hotels in Kirkenes and in Alta. You have just epic viewings of northern lights like you just saw in some of those videos. And then you have adventure activities like snowmobiling, dog sledding, reindeer sledding, king crab safari. It looks like you've featured there. Those are all sort of define the winter time. But then when you come back in the summer, the landscape is totally different. The main thing is midnight sun. The sun is up all night. The sun is above the horizon at midnight. That's technically what midnight sun means, is the sun itself is above the horizon come midnight. And that means that you have very long days, and that's more time to explore, more time to go out, more time to be active. And maybe you're not doing snowmobiling, but maybe you're doing hiking, kayaking, going to see some unique birds, whale watching, fishing. It's just a really cool experience to sort of spend a whole day enjoying Norway. And then after dinner, the sun is still up. And if you want to take the kayak out at 10 o'clock at night, the sun is still in the sky. It's like you're getting 2 for 1 on days in the summertime. It's really an amazing phenomenon to experience. As great as the Northern Lights is, and I can't possibly sell that short, I think people think the Northern Lights is amazing and I'm going to do anything to go see it. The midnight sun is equally amazing.
It's tough because you don't ever want to go to sleep. Why waste
No,
the day?
no, you don't.
Right? I want to just
Exactly.
mention, with the winter experiences, a lot of people that might want to visit that part of Norway during the winter don't have the right attire, right? They don't have a winter jacket, they might have boots. So all of that can be supplied by the people that are offering these activities. So don't let that dissuade you from deciding to go to northern Norway in the winter, because they'll have everything you need. Lots of snowmobile jackets and mittens and gloves and hats. So you don't even have to pack that in your luggage when you go, even if you have it at home. Just leave it at home and let them supply it. Well,
absolutely. And I'll add that's all over Norway too. Typically any experience that if it requires some sort of special gear or apparel, it's almost always included. Even if you do fjord safari out on a rib boat in the summertime, they'll give you the survival suit and gloves and everything that you need. So it's very easy.
Yeah. Well, that's important. We don't want to overpack, right?
No.
So we have one of our partners in Alta has sent us a greeting from northern Norway.
Welcome. I am Gerda Lovesen and I work on the Norway Tourist Board. And I would like to welcome all Tenon Tour guests to Northern Norway. Northern Norway is the land of the midnight sun in the summer and the land of the northern light in the wintertime. Behind me you'll see the Northern Light Cathedral in Alta. I am standing in Alta at the moment, and it is an amazing small town. We have activities on offer in Northern Norway, lots to do, and most of all the activities we have are outdoors. You can go hiking, bird safari, biking, hiking with huskies, or even go sledding in the summer with wheels. In the winter time, we have a lot of winter activities on offer, both more strenuous ones like off-piste skiing or easier one like reindeer sledding and dog sledding and stuff like that. Of course, we have museums as well, a lot on offer. Just come and visit us with Tenon Tours. You're more than welcome in the north of Norway, above the Arctic Circle.
Gerda's right. There is a lot to offer in northern Norway. So many incredible sights. We have a short video here too. Let's take a look. That's amazing. And just off the coast of that part of Norway are the Lofoten Islands. And fishing has been and still is a really important industry. There's craggy mountains and beautiful inlets and beaches, actually, and interesting history, local artists, outdoor activities, and again, the midnight sun and the northern lights. So getting there isn't difficult either. There's an amazing flight structure, lots of flights operating, so it's easy to get to that part and add that to itineraries. Such a cool place to visit. And here we have some great photos of the fisherman cabins for accommodations. Have you stayed in one, David?
Yeah, so if you go to the Lofoten Islands, those cabins, which are called Rorbor, are basically where you're staying in them somewhere, and they what started as traditional fisherman cabins have been repurposed into small hotels, and they're really a unique way of experiencing the Lofoten Islands, which are just so beautiful. And I think what you mentioned, although the islands are only 1,500 miles from the North Pole, because of the Gulf Stream, they are this sort of the world's largest elevated temperature anomaly. So even though you're so far north, I mean, 1,500 miles from the North Pole, it's warm. I mean, in the summertime, you'll expect temperatures in the 60s, white sand beaches, people enjoying swimming in the water, and then you'll be surrounded by these snow-capped mountains behind you. It's really like nowhere else. I mean, absolutely stunning destination.
And people can fish. You see some people there holding their catch, and but it's such a lifestyle up there. You'll see the fish drying on racks, and
yeah,
they're shipping that to Southern Europe for bacalao, and it's quite an industry. But tourism's big too, and people come up to enjoy the activities if they're going to kayak or hike, or they can just relax. Imagine that.
Yeah, I think, and the islands are, although it's many different islands, they're so interconnected. They're so easy to get between. I mean, like most of Norway, the logistics of it are just really simple. Multiple airports, even ferry routes that connect the Lofoten Islands to the mainland of Norway. It's just such a simple destination to sort of piece together. But the best way to see it is really to, by bicycle or car, get out and see as many of the islands as possible. Just explore, especially under the midnight sun. It's one of my favorite places. And I've been fishing in the Lofoten Islands, by the way. It is ridiculously easy. You just throw the line in the water, you pull it up, and it's filled with fish. It's ridiculous.
Oh, and then it's a guarantee, right? You can have your fish. And then the golfing, you can actually golf under the midnight sun. That would be incredible. So if you're a golfer, that might be something to add to your list. So this would be a really good time for a couple of trivia questions to win some Tenon Tours merchandise. So just type your answers in the comment box, and the first people with the correct answer will win. So David, would you do the honors?
Okay, first question. What is the name of the island archipelago near the North Pole?
Okay. All right. Hopefully everybody was paying attention. And then the second question.
Second question, who are the indigenous people who live in northern Norway?
Okay. So good luck with that. Hopefully we'll get a couple winners here, and we'll announce them momentarily. Good luck. So now we're going to move into a little bit further south into the Trøndelag area, and we have a video that'll just introduce us to that part. Wow, that moose, that is quite awesome. What an awesome area. So obviously these unique muskox, and there's all kinds of cuisine options and different kinds of food and outdoor activities again. So this is really an amazing part too. And it's not even that far north.
No, it's not far north at all, and really, it's hard to even describe this region because it's so varied. I mean, if you look at Trøndelag, it's like a slice of Norway, right? So it's from the coast, and that's Norway's not an island, so that's the border of Sweden there. So it's very different from even east to west, and I think you saw sort of some snapshots of that in the video. I mean, in the center there, you could go on a musk ox safari, something you're not going to experience anywhere else, which is incredibly cool. But then on the west coast there, you have all of these islands off of the region, like Hitra and Frøya and Fosen, which are just incredibly cool destinations in and of themselves. And I think probably the best place in Norway food wise. Obviously, Norway is very known for fish, but that region specifically is known for shellfish, which is my preference. And it is just like a non ending smorgasbord of incredible shellfish at all times when you're over there. It's amazing. But Røros, which is more in the center as well, is also an incredibly well known food destination, more on the meat and cheese side, less on the seafood side, as it's not on the coast. But it is an incredible place, especially in the wintertime. The main street in Røros is just like pure winter wonderland. I mean, just overwhelming with charm. So this is not probably where most, this is the middle of Norway. So most people are going to the Fjord Norway region further south or northern Norway. But this middle bit of Norway is becoming more and more popular and just has so much to offer that's different than the rest of Norway.
And it's still off the beaten path, though. It's nice not to go where everyone else goes. And Røros itself is like a postcard. It's wooden houses, wooden buildings, the iconic church, the old copper mine. And so like you said, it's very charming, and a UNESCO World Heritage Site as well.
Yes, and one of Norway's sustainable cities as well. But people are sledding down the main street in the wintertime. I mean, it is, as postcard as it gets.
Well, in this part of Norway is the location of the city of Trondheim, which it has an incredible long history, was the original capital of Norway, and dates way back to the Viking times.
Yeah, and Trondheim again, not as popular with tourists as Bergen or Oslo is, but an incredibly beautiful city, known for its university, known for the cathedral, which you could see there. Which if you've been to some of the grand cathedrals more further south in Europe, like the cathedral in Malaga, for example, which is an unbelievable building. This is on that par. So walking in there is just absolutely stunning. But the city is beautiful. It has the river running through it. It has a lot to offer, and it's very accessible, very easy to get to from anywhere within Norway.
And it's a city, but there are no high rises. There's nothing that would make it seem like a city. So it's more like a small town, very walkable, the river going through. So I would highly recommend we can, suggest that as an addition to an itinerary. So
any Norwegian city, it's all access to nature. So even when you're in the city, you could take a short walk and you'll be out and enjoying nature. That's what Norway's really all about.
Absolutely. Well, I want to announce that we have a couple of trivia winners. The trivia question number 1 winner is Annalena or Annaline, and the second winner is Sharon. So thank you very much for remembering the answers and paying attention. That's awesome. We'll get some Tenon Tours merchandise off to you very soon. We'll get your address and everything. So thank you. Now we'll go on to probably the most famous feature of Norway, the breathtaking fjords in the western part of the country. It's really, you can't even find words to describe the scenery, even though we're breathtaking scenery everywhere around us. So let's take a look at the fjords and what they are. speechless. There's just no words. So, the fjord region is in the western part of the country. So we can show a map to sort of get your bearings here. So we're making our way from the north to the southwest, and the region can be reached by train from Oslo or from Bergen, of course, flying into either of those cities and then continuing by train, or by car from any direction, and certainly by boat. And travelers can take a day trip to the fjords, or you can spend several days in the region, public transportation or with your own car. Traveling in the region requires boat or ferry crossings, which have very good timetables and are coordinated with other transportation. So it's a really good network. So the views are guaranteed. There's just no question about that. Even if it's cloudy, the views are stunning, because the clouds do something to the landscape that, is mystical.
Drama.
Yeah, it adds another dimension. And there's so many activities with kayaking, bird watching, hiking, learning about Viking history, which is big in that part of Norway, the culture, and of course, relaxing. So what other types of things can we do in the fjords?
I mean, this is where most people are going when they're in Norway. The fjords are, like you said, stunning views are guaranteed. I mean, although there are fjords all over Norway, I mentioned 1,700 fjords. The Fjord Norway region in the western, southwestern part of the country is what we're specifically talking about here. And there's nowhere else in the world that is just so consistently beautiful. You're not driving to see a view. It's all view. It's all fantastic. And I mean, these are the highways of the Vikings. So you see some of the pictures there of the stave churches. I mean, these are Viking era stave churches that are dotted throughout this region. They're unbelievable to visit. I mean, and you can really get a sense of this is exactly what it looked like when these structures were built by the Vikings. And it's just this stunning contrast from being down in the bottom of the fjord and how beautiful and clear the water is, to being way up high onto a glacier like you have in the top left there, and seeing the fjord in the distance. It is just an incredible region to explore. And I guess the video mentioned a few specific fjords sort of around some of the more iconic hikes in Norway, but the big fjord destination regions are really Sogne Fjord, which I mentioned before, known as the King of the Fjords, and Geiranger Fjord and Hardanger Fjord. Those are where you'll find most people are visiting. But you don't need to go to those places. This whole region is just incredibly and consistently beautiful. I'm just seeing the view in the bottom right is at the Lysfjord at Pulpit Rock, which is one of Norway's iconic hikes. That's a very accessible hike. It's only about 2 hours up to get to that spot, and it is an absolutely stunning view. So there's so many opportunities like that across this region. It's hard to even focus in on a few of them.
Well, and one thing that I think is important to say is that people can try to push their personal boundaries with maybe a glacier hike. And the glacier hikes are available to a lot of ages and abilities. I mean, even kids as young as maybe 8 or 10 can try doing a glacier hike, or doing a kayaking trip, in the fjord. What an awesome experience that is. And to go to Pulpit Rock, it's very accessible, and lots of people do it. But when you've completed that hike, it's a personal best. I mean, it's really awesome to have done that and to get that view. So they're just it's a way to really stretch your limits a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. And to your point, you definitely want to experience the fjords from both land and from sea, because they're both spectacular and have a very different sort of set of experiences around it. So you want to get up high, like a place like Pulpit Rock, or ride the cable car up to the top and see what the fjords really look like from above. But you also want to get down. I think kayaking personally is the best, because the water is flat and it's just an unendingly beautiful view. So you need to have both to really feel like you've experienced the region.
Again, and any ability can really do the kayaking as well. And they're very patient and accommodating when people want to try these activities. So don't discount that either. In order to get to the fjords, we mentioned the city of Bergen earlier. That city is on the west coast, and it's known as the gateway to the fjords. And it's a really special city because, again, it's a city, but it doesn't have high buildings, and it is more like a small town. And so we have an introduction to Bergen from a Bergen insider.
People question why I left New York to go to Bergen to open a restaurant, but everything is decked out for us to serve the best food possible. We have the best seafood in the world and the closest to nature that you can't find anywhere else. Hello, my name is Christopher. I'm a chef, and this is my city, Bergen. I'm born and raised here in Bergen. I worked here all my life, but spent a couple of years in Paris and New York before eventually returning to Bergen and opening Lysverket. As a chef, Bergen is perfectly situated between mountains, fjords, islands, the vast North Sea. So every type of amazing ingredient is right on our doorstep. Fresh Norwegian shrimp, probably the sweetest shrimp you can find. And you gotta look for the ones that have the long antennas, because they've never been frozen. And the best flavor is in the head. Oh. Bergen's city center is very small and very urban. But right in the middle of the city, there's a funicular that goes up the mountain. 1 minute you can be walking along Bryggen, looking at these old fantastic buildings. 10 minutes later, you're on top of the mountains. And from there, you can go for just a couple of minutes and you're in the middle of nowhere. And this view is spectacular. You see straight west to the islands where we get our scallop and all the shellfish for the restaurant. And it's one of my absolute favorite views of the city here. The short hike right out of the city, and I can find ingredients for my salad. These are sorrel leaves, and they'll go very well with an oyster dish I have right now. Having a restaurant in a small town like Bergen means you have to work differently with your suppliers than you would in a big city, because you're very dependent on their success for you in turn to have success. So we often ask our suppliers, what do you have? And then what they offer us is what we build a menu around. Bergen is a very cultural city, and with the large university that we have, there's always something going on.
Yeah.
I'm going to prepare a dish. This is the first spring vegetables that we get from our local sustainable farms. And these are the sorrel leaves we found on Fløya. And with that, the table tales from Bergen is served. Hope to see you soon.
Well, that's a good example of the right to roam and foraging for his restaurant. That's awesome. So Bergen has a historic harbor. It has a lot of history. It's surrounded by 7 mountains. We saw him going up Mount Fløyen by funicular, and there's another one that is Mount Ulriken, and you can take a cable car up that mountain for an incredible view. And they also have activities up there. You can go hiking at the top of Mount Fløyen. There's a restaurant. You can have a picnic. There's a playground and some lakes, and you can take a boat, and it's just awesome. You don't even know you're in the city anymore.
Yeah, I love that video, and Christopher is so great. He really sums up Bergen so well there. But yeah, it's right back to what I was saying. It's accessibility to nature, and you see that not just in what you're going to go out and experience activity-wise, but what you're eating as well. You know, food is local, and Bergen is a great place to see that demonstrated, and even get out a little bit from the city center and do some foraging yourself, or maybe pull some oysters out of the water and have a little meal on your own. There's some really creative culinary experiences, and I think the best thing to do in Bergen is to just walk around. I mean, there's plenty of stuff to see and do, but just the vibe of the city, the restaurants that are there, the people that are there, I love the fish market, which you saw him in a few clips.
Yes.
Just walking up to picking out your seafood, and then there's a fish market with like a restaurant attached to it, so you can pick out your own seafood and then have them cook it and sit there and enjoy a nice lunch. It is just such a cool city, and definitely the gateway to the fjords.
And it has so much, it's just living history. You're surrounded by all these wooden houses and Bryggen with the old Hanseatic quarter. Yeah, it absolutely is living history. And we have a greeting from one of our partners in Bergen.
Hello, my name is Renøg, and on behalf of Visit Bergen, we are very much looking forward to welcoming Tenon Tours travelers here to the heart of the fjords.
Well, that's just, they're inviting us there. So we have to definitely accommodate that request. So we'll get all of our Tenon Tours guests to Bergen. So David, we're just going to take a little break from you, and I'm going to welcome one of our partners who we're really fortunate to be working with right now. This is Juan Dominguez. Welcome, Juan.
Oh, thank you very much, Linda. Nice to be here.
Thanks. And Juan is Director of Programming and Quality Control with Via Hansa Borealis, our partner over in Copenhagen. And it's our cooperation with Via Hansa Borealis that it allows us to offer so many unique experiences to our Tenon Tour guests. And Juan is here. He's been all over Scandinavia. It's been his backyard for his whole life, basically.
Yes, you're right, Linda. I went to Scandinavia. I'm originally from Spain, southern part of Spain, but I spent my whole life actually in Scandinavia, living between Denmark and Sweden, of course, in Norway during the summertime. So I've been there for two-thirds of my life. Mm-hmm. Well, so it's been great paying attention to what you're presenting here, and it's really interesting to see. And I will focus on the fjords. You see, two of the fjords not far from Bergen. You said before that Bergen is a getaway city out of the fjords from the west coast of Norway. So I would like to focus in one of the very famous fjords, which is the Sogne Fjord. A few fun facts about it. It's the longest and deepest in Europe, of course, and the second longest and deepest in the world. That one is, I could give you the numbers in miles. I'm used to the kilometers, but it's 126 miles long, and it's 4,000 feet deep. So it's quite a big one. So that one stretches out 126 miles out into the open sea. So of course you have many villages out there, but one of the main villages is Flom. If you go back in the Scandinavian languages, you will end that floor or Flom means flat. So all the villages and the very remote Norway from 1,000 years ago, they were, getting out to Flom, and then they came with the idea to link that town, the Flom, which is very well located, to the main road or railway between Bergen and Oslo. That one was opened in 1909. So since then, all the tiny villages around the fjord start going into Flom, and from there they took the spectacular train Flom. I don't know if you most of you know what I'm talking about. You take the train from the sea level up to the railway linking the two big cities of Norway. One is Oslo, capital, and then Bergen used to be the capital as well. So it was the only way to communicate the villages around the fjord with the main capitals of the country. So when you get there, you have many roads getting in there nowadays, tunnels that links Flom to the rest of the country. The Lærdal tunnel that David was mentioning before is not really far from there. And what you can do there, of course, there are many activities. When you have such a long fjord, of course, you can take a boat or a kayak from Flå, and then you start sailing out in the fjord and reaching out to these villages. And there you have, of course, gastronomical experience, and of course, you can go for a walk there. You can visit the farms of different fish farming. There's a lot of quite popular in the fjord, and of course a lot of vegetables and of course fruit from the area. So it's really, really amazing area to visit. And the reed boat, of course, as you mentioned as well before, you don't need any special equipment because when you get there, they will give you they will provide you with equipment that you need in the summertime. So that is one of the very famous one, which is Flom. It's a tiny town and one of the longest fjords in the world. And that one is placed on one of the branches of the Sogne Fjord, of course.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that one is very interesting. So you will be very close to Bergen, which is not really far from there. You can reach there. You can take ferries from that town out to different towns, and from there continue by bus. Or the other way around, you can take the train, the railway up to the main railway and link in Oslo and Bergen, and continue by train to Bergen. All self-driving, of course. And
Right.
if, of course, you can also, use bike. Of course, it will take you a little bit longer, but there is roads for all sort of activities in the area. It's really, really amazing place to visit. That town is Flom. And then you have another one called Hardangerfjord, which is also a really amazing town. Not really far from there. It's another fjord, which is a little bit smaller, but not really much. It's 111 miles long. And then you have a microclimate there. So, of course, there's a lot of fruit, quite popular during the summertime. When you drive, there is a very, very narrow road, and then you will reach so many beautiful villages on that road. And, of course, now they are building new hotels here and there are some historical hotels as well, where you can spend a few days, and they offer a lot of activities. And the wild, you can take the kayak and go very close to the edge of the fjord, to the shore, and then you can go for walks there and experience a little bit of the wildlife in the forest. Or another activity is to fly around by helicopters. There are many helicopter services there, so you can fly from your hotel around the area and have a look at the fjords from the sky, and then the roads and you can also use them as a transportation. You can fly from one hotel to the other if you want to, or just have a sight from wherever you stay in the Hardangerfjord.
Mm-hmm.
That's quite popular. We do it quite a lot, quite much. Tours for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. It's up to you.
Mm-hmm.
How long you're gonna be flying there in the area, and there are many possibilities to do it. So that one is something to do. And of course, biking is another popular thing. David was into it, which is a lot of people do that. And of course, you can also drive yourself. There are very good roads. They're not really wide roads, and it's up and down, very windy roads everywhere. But it's people are very careful when they drive, because they learn to drive there, so they're very careful when they drive, especially when you drive 3-4 months a year in the sort of darkness and ice. So it's safe to drive. And of course, the railway that you have between Oslo and Bergen, which was opened in 1909. That one was the most expensive railway built in the northern part of Europe at that time. That is another very nice trip that you can take from either Oslo, Bergen, Oslo, and then there are many towns. You go from the sea level in Oslo up to 1,200 meters above the sea level, and then you go down again in Bergen at the sea level, and you have so many villages, beautiful villages. We often do some trekking, some hiking here and there. So there are many, many activities in that part of the country.
So the Hardanger area is the fjord, or I'm sorry, the fruit basket of Norway.
Yes.
What kinds of fruits are we finding there?
You find especially strawberries, one of the sweetest that I've tasted in my life. Being from the southern part of Europe, where we have a lot of sunshine, they are the best and that you can find in Europe. Strawberries, and of course, you have a little bit of apple here and there. It's quite fertile because of the Gulf Stream that David mentioned before. You have the Gulf Stream and that area there. Of course, that one is sort of a natural radiator for the area, so the climate is not as cold as you would imagine. If you see that you have 60 degrees, and then you have Alaska, you have Siberia, the same latitude. But because of the Gulf Stream, of course, you have a lot of fruit in that area, and you see it in the springtime and summertime blooming. And
all the blossoms.
Yeah, oh, exactly. It's so beautiful, so beautiful.
Full waterfalls and blossoms.
So many waterfalls. Yeah, exactly, Linda. It's so beautiful. It's it's a constant postcard. It's a very long postcard that you see when you're walking and moving in that area.
But the harvest time for the fruit in August, right about now would be a great time to go. Pick apples, have some strawberries.
There you go. That's what they do at this time of the year.
Yeah.
And of course, during the a little bit later in the year, they go there for the mushrooms, which is quite popular activity as well.
Do you have a favorite fjord?
My favorite fjord?
Yeah.
It's very difficult to say, but I will go for Sogne Fjord because it's so, it's so big, it's so vast, it's so impressive when you're sailing around there. And now they have those electric fjords, so it's so silent when you're sailing there, and you see this fantastic, enormous walls of granite around you there in silence. It's really impressive. So Sogne Fjord, I will go for that one there, and I'm the lucky one. I've been sailing many times, and mostly everywhere in that fjord. Because you have so many routes, so you have so many remote sounds. But as you know, Norway nowadays, they are so rich, they have so much money that you can drive. Now they have highways, sort of highways in Norway, of course, roads, tunnels, bridges, ferries, linking, every single area around the fjords. So it's very easy to move around in that area nowadays.
Well, thank you so much for your insights on the fjords, Juan, and for joining us now. And please come back when we have our question and answer toward the end of the program, okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Juan.
You're welcome, Linda.
Well, we're going to travel a little bit further south to the southern region of Norway called Sørlandet. So let's take a look at the map of southern Norway. And I don't think people know that Norway has a Riviera. Do you, David?
No, Norwegians know. I don't think anyone else knows, but this is where everyone from Oslo is getting out of the big city and heading down to the coast and enjoying the white beaches and the sailing culture. You could see just at the very bottom of Norway there. Yeah. It's about an hour flight, or I think it's about 4 hours by train from Oslo. So again, like everything in Norway, very accessible.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people have their summer houses down there, like you said, from Oslo. They'll go down to Sørlandet and do sailing. And we have some pictures that show the white houses, and there's a famous lighthouse there as well. And it's just really fabulous area for swimming and all along the coast there, the white houses, and there are picket fences and lots of islands and skerries. Great location for the outdoor activities. Not so much, maybe kayaking as well. But and then there's an inland portion of Sørlandet that has mountains, lakes, rivers, and farms, and it's a pretty rich agricultural area. And we see there's a fruit farm there as well. So this is a really rich part of Norway, very close to Oslo, basically. And there's also a part, it's called the Telemark Canal, and we have a special greeting from the Telemark Canal.
from the Telemark Canal, a wonderful waterway in southeast Norway. A cruise on the Telemark Canal includes lakes, rivers, and impressive locks with changing landscapes, including lush farmlands and fjord-like lakes. We are looking forward to welcoming Tenon Tour guests to visit us on the beautiful Telemark Canal.
It's really interesting history, and the ships that are going on the canal are the historic steamships. So that's a fun aspect too, that isn't found other places.
Yeah, it's just amazing. This is still Norway, but it has such a different feel than the rest of Norway. I mean, to me, especially the southern coast, just feels like summer. It's definitely a little more off the beaten track for international visitors. Most are going further north, but a really great destination. And I'll add also very easy to combine with Denmark. There's ferries now that go straight across from Kristiansand in the bottom tip of Norway right over to northern Denmark. And there's actually new service that connects also to the Netherlands from there.
That's right. Yeah, they continually make things easy to connect, which is awesome when we're planning trips for people. Oh, just add one more thing. It's very easy. So
Exactly. And you didn't mention this region has gotten a ton of publicity in the last couple of years because of the new Under restaurant, which is the world's largest underwater restaurant, located not too far from Kristiansand in southern Norway. So the restaurant itself is actually also a mussel reef. So you could have dinner. It's like a 25 course, very, very fancy, elaborate meal that you actually have under the sea. So pretty cool.
Right. And you need to make those reservations several months
in advance.
Right.
Well in advance. Yes.
I think
it is the largest underwater restaurant, but it is still a small restaurant.
Yeah, there aren't very many tables. And I actually checked a couple months ago for the first available reservation, and that was going to be like mid-October. So
yeah, and I think if I remember correctly, they open them on a schedule, so you need to be ready when they open the next month or something, and then you can grab one.
Yeah, it's right near Lindesnes Lighthouse, so it's the southernmost tip of Norway. So yeah, and then from Sørlandet we can kind of head north into the Oslo region, home of Norway's capital, Oslo. And we can take a look at some of Oslo's highlights here. There have been a lot of exciting changes in Oslo lately, right?
Yeah, I think, even in the 8 years that I've been working with Norway, Oslo has changed so much. And I think, historically it was always like Copenhagen and Stockholm were higher on the list of destinations that people want to visit than Oslo. And Oslo had, maybe more of an industrial or business feel to it, but those days are gone. I mean, Oslo is super cool now. You saw some of the new architecture in that video. I feel like even since that video was made, I mean, since the last couple of years of COVID, there's so much new product that's open there. There's the new Dieckmann Library, which is now Oslo's flagship library. There's the new Munch Museum, which is the largest art museum in the world dedicated to a single artist. There's the new indoor skiing at Snow. There's new Michelin star restaurants like at Oslo Omakase. There's so much, but I think what makes Oslo super special is that they're very actively making it a more sustainable destination. They're getting the cars out of the city. They're making large areas of the center of Oslo pedestrian only, which is fantastic. And they actually have these very ambitious goals to get all cars out of the city center in the next few years, and actually stop selling petroleum gasoline altogether and move to fully electric. I don't think you'll see more Teslas and electric vehicles in any city in the world than you will in Oslo. So Oslo is a must miss. Don't just fly through. You have to spend a few days for sure.
Definitely. Well, that's good, because it's not an easy city to drive in. I can tell you that.
You don't need to drive. Great public transportation, great walking.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, it's really exciting. We have a few welcome videos from the Oslo area.
Hi, my name is Knut. I'm the regional tourism manager for the eastern part of Norway in the Visit Oslo region. Behind me now you can see the town hall of Oslo, and I'm moving out on the Oslo fjord. Welcome to our area, which stretches all the way from Gudbrandsdalen and Lillehammer and down to the Swedish border and the coastal towns of Sandefjord and Larvik. Welcome to Norway and welcome to Eastern Norway.
Hi, my name is Christine and I work here at Kistefos Museum in Jevnaker. We are much looking forward to welcome guests from Tenon Tours to see our beautiful museum and wonderful sculpture park.
Yeah, as Knut mentioned, the Oslo region extends north and south of the city and offers a lot of outdoor activities, history and culture, and of course, beautiful scenery. And the Oslo fjord is a fjord, but it's not like the fjords of Western Norway. It doesn't have the mountains, but it's still a fjord.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's still worth getting out and exploring. It's very easy from Oslo, like all cities in Norway. Nature is right there waiting for you. And you saw actually in the video, there were some clips of some of Oslo's most famous museums, like the Viking Ship Museum. Those are actually on separate islands. Well, it's not an island, but it's accessible by boat right from the center of the city, right in front of City Hall that you saw behind Knut. And you just take across the fjord, and we have a whole area with all the most iconic museums. So you will get out on the water if you visit Oslo. Absolutely.
And it's really easy to get around too. Transportation, walking, it's just really compact. So that's really great. Well, we have time for a couple more trivia questions here. You can type your answers in the comment box. David.
Okay. First question. Bergen, the city of Bergen, is surrounded by how many mountains?
Great. All right. And the next one?
Next question. What created Norway's iconic fjords?
Great. Good luck to everyone. And we talked a little bit about sustainability before and about getting the cars out of Oslo and the fact that they are using hydroelectric power. Is there other items of sustainability you want to mention?
I think what you need to understand about Norway is at their heart, at the core of how they are operating as a country and a society, is to be more sustainable. And because of that, we're seeing legislation like you just mentioned that leads to better tourism products. And I think actually the best example of that, although walking around in Oslo without cars is great, is actually the law that's banning all the carbon neutral ships in the fjords by 2026. And because of that legislation, we've seen companies create technology to create more sustainable and electric powered vehicles in the fjords. And I think you saw in one of the videos where we were up near Flam, there are fully electric cruises that go out onto the fjords, which are amazing. So all the beauty of Norway's fjords and none of the vibration and noise of being on a traditional ship. It's just silent and electric. And you'll even actually see that technology overlapping into the industrial side. There are now sustainable electric and even autonomous cargo ships that are moving things through the fjords. So it's great to see that sort of leadership from the top saying, you know what, we're going to decide we're done with polluting in the fjords, and industry has to figure out ways to do things better, and actually ends up creating better tourism products for us all to enjoy.
Right. I've seen, more and more of the electric boats that are coming in. And that's great, too, because they're quiet. You don't need to have a big motor interrupting your beautiful scenery while you're cruising.
Yeah, if you've never been on one, it's almost unsettling how quiet it can be, because you're so used to being on a boat, there's this constant sort of vibration and noise. And then when they switch over to the electric engine, it feels like you're just adrift. And I know our friends up at Brim Explorer, which run the electric boats up in the north, they say the loudest thing on the boat is the ice machine, and they mean it. It is a really, really cool way to explore.
Oh, that's so great. Well, it's awesome. Congratulations to Norway, and hopefully other countries and other companies will follow suit. Well, my bags are packed. So in your opinion, what is the best time to visit Norway?
Oh, there's no bad time to visit Norway, but it depends. You need to know what you want to experience, because, like I said, it is a very seasonal destination, and with that seasonality comes very different types of product offerings, different times of the year. So, if you want to see Northern Lights, if that's the priority of you or your clients, then you need to know that you need to go during the winter. If you want to experience the midnight sun, then it's during the summer. But there's no bad time. I think a high season is obviously our summertime. That's when the most people are there exploring. But for that reason, I really like the shoulder seasons to go in like April or September when things are less busy, and less crowded and a little bit cheaper, but still just as beautiful. So, but you can't go wrong. You just need to know what you want to experience and that it's available. Any sort of excursion will usually have, months tied to it. So, this is exactly when this is available. And then also, if you're traveling around on your own, if you're renting a car and exploring, Linda, you mentioned there's an elaborate system of ferries. There are some seasonalities to that too. Some of the mountain passes have seasonality to them that they're not passable during winter months. So you need to be aware of those things. But as long as you're aware of them, there's no bad time to visit, and you'll always experience something different.
Right. Well, and yeah, so that it's really whatever works for you. But then the museums and sites are open all year round. So,
For sure.
that part is not going to affect your travel dates at all. So I want to mention the winners for our last two trivia questions. Number 3, the winner is Elle. Congratulations, Elle. And number 4, we have Sharon, and Sharon also won the second question. So thank you so much for paying attention and playing our trivia. So we have been receiving some questions. I'd like to welcome Juan back, and we have some questions from the viewers. We can answer those now. I don't know if we have any. Okay. All right. Well, it doesn't seem like we have any questions yet. So just let us know in the future if you have questions. You can get us by Facebook or send us an email. But right now, we have a grand prize that we want to offer $500 off a trip to Norway. And so we have a link to register for that prize, and then we'll be taking entries until next week, so you can sign up and register for that $500 off. We'll announce the winner during our next webinar on Thursday, August 25th. Oh, I'm sorry, we do have a question. Is 17th of May a fun day in Norway? Well, the 17th of May is Norway's National Day. It's 17. Mai. It's the biggest holiday they have there, and it is a lot of fun. You want to talk about that, anybody?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you need to be aware of it if your trip is overlapping it. I think you're very lucky if it does. But it might mean that some of the things you might have planned otherwise might not be available. People are celebrating the holiday. But with that, it's an unbelievable day to be there. Everyone is dressed in their traditional costumes and their bunards. There's parades in Oslo and a lot of the other cities and towns around the country. And it's a big party. So yeah, I would say if your trip or your client's trip is anywhere near that date, try to be there for it, but to understand that it is a special day and you might not be able to book regular sorts of activities.
Right. But definitely highlight. And then where are your favorite places to visit in Bergen other than what we've already heard about? Well, I want to mention Trollhaugen, which is Edvard Grieg's former home and museum, and they have a recital hall And during the summer, they have lunch concert recitals there for doing his work. So Trollhaugen is one of my favorite places in Bergen.
Beautiful place.
Yeah. David, do you have a favorite?
I think that's a great answer. I think we probably mentioned them before. I mean, I love just walking around in Bryggen, which is the very old historical area of Bergen with all the wooden buildings. Even with nothing to do there, I just sort of like wandering through there. And of course, getting up above the city to see it. I mean, they're the traditional things to do, but they're traditional for a reason.
Yeah, definitely. Any hikes you recommend within Norway? Well, we mentioned the Pulpit Rock hike, which is, I'd say, if you're in the southern part or near Stavanger, that would be one. But there are lots of day hikes in the Sognefjord area, right?
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. That many places. So depending on, what do you want to do or how advanced is the hiking, so you have plenty of possibilities to do it.
Well, the valley in Flom is a really easy hike. So if you're in the Flom area that Juan was talking about before, just strolling up the valley, it's a beautiful valley and the line isn't very far and you can watch the train come by.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of other ones that are more difficult and have quite an incline. So it just depends on your abilities.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no shortage of places to hike. I mean, we have our iconic hikes, of course, like the Pulpit Rock and Trolltunga and Shareg and things like that you've probably seen on Instagram and in presentations. But, you don't need to go to those places for a fantastic hike. Anywhere you are in Norway, even in city centers, you can pretty much set out in any direction and find a great place to hike.
Yes.
And definitely in Bergen, taking the funicular to the top of Fløyen and walking around there. And then you can hike down. Instead of funicular down, you can take a nice walk through the neighborhoods, and it's a beautiful trail and doesn't take too long. It's definitely not difficult. So yeah, you can definitely get some hikes in. Yeah. All right. So I just want to mention that grand prize again, $500 off a trip to Norway, and the link is on your screen. So be sure to register and we'll announce the winner on Thursday, August 25th. And so it's been wonderful speaking with you both, David and Juan, about all the amazing experiences Norway has to offer Tenon Tours guests. Thank you so much for being here. There's too much to talk about. We could keep going.
No, thank you for having us. We're so excited to welcome Tenon Tours guests to Norway. It's going to be fantastic. So we can't wait to see you there.
Great. We'll
send it here. Thank you very much for having us.
Have a great afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining us, and let us know how we can help you.